Oh no.
Thank you everyone for joining us today. We'll get started in just a few minutes. Enjoy the slideshow. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started and just let you enjoy the slideshow as it goes. Thank you everyone for joining the Arc of Massachusetts and the Massachusetts Developmental Disability Council today for our 44th annual legislative reception. My name is Ellen Taverna. I'm the Director of Public Policy for the Arc of Massachusetts. The Arc of Massachusetts is a disability advocacy organization dedicated to enhancing the lives of people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, including autism, and their families. We fulfill this through advocacy for community supports and services that foster social inclusion, self-determination, and equity across all aspects of society. Before I introduce our MCs for today's event, I'm going to run through some logistical items for our virtual webinar format. We hope to be back in person, gathering together at the State House soon. But for now, we're excited to have this virtual reception as accessible as possible for all attendees. We are pleased to have a Spanish translator with us, Carlos Oliva, who will be translating orally in Spanish. If you'd like to listen to the webinar in Spanish, please click on the globe-looking icon option in your settings panel or toolbar. As you can see, we also have an ASL interpreter providing sign language throughout the webinar, as well as closed captioning available in English. To see the closed captioning, please click on the live transcript closed captioning button in your settings panel. And if you would like a Spanish translation of the closed captioning, please click on the link in the chat box following the instructions. We will be keeping attendees muted until the end of the webinar. If you have any questions or comments, please provide them in the chat box, which we'll be monitoring. Our event is also currently live streaming on Facebook, and we're monitoring the comments there as well. I'd just like to take a moment to thank all of our legislative reception co-sponsors. In the slideshow, we listed 43 co-sponsors for today's event, which include all 17 ARC chapters. We encourage everyone to check out these important organizations that serve, support, and provide resources to individuals with disabilities and their families. If you represent one of these groups, please chat your name in the chat box or comment on Facebook Live. And finally, we also ask legislators and state agency officials to please type your names and titles in the chat box or comment box on a comment on Facebook Live as well, so we know that you're here with us. Thank you all for joining, and thank you for your commitment to the disability community. We're going to show the program up on the screen in a second, which will show the agenda for today's event. And I'm delighted now to introduce Lauren Beckham Falcone and Amir Harper, who are our two MCs for today's event. Lauren is an on-air radio co-host on ROR 105.7 FM, the ROR Morning Show. Before discussing current events on the airwaves, she wrote about them for 17 years for the Boston Herald, where she was an award-winning reporter and columnist. Lauren is an honorary board member of the Massachusetts Down Syndrome Society and a graduate of the Mass Families Leadership Series, and a long-time friend to the MDDC and the Arc. She lives in Canton with her husband, Dave, and her daughter, Lucy. We also have Amir, who is 15 years old and lives with his mom, dad, brother, and sister in Revere. He is a sophomore at Revere High School and loves to play the drums and produce music on Ableton, Logic, and GarageBand. He plays in the Revere High School Ensemble and Jazz Ensemble at Zoomix and looks forward to performances. Amir is passionate about equity and inclusion. He serves on Revere's Equity Board, which connects staff and students to strive for equity and inclusion across the district. In 2019, Amir won an essay for the importance of Black history. Amir has autism and he enjoys co-teaching for the ARC's Operation House Call program, sharing his experiences with medical students. Amir hopes to go to Berklee College of Music and pursue a profession in music therapy. We are so grateful to have Amir and Lauren here with us today. Thank you so much. So I'm going to kick it off to Lauren. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And thank you everybody for joining us today for the 44th annual and second virtual legislative reception hosted by the Massachusetts Developmental Disabilities Council and the Arc of Massachusetts. Each year we gather in March to celebrate Intellectual and Development Disabilities Awareness Month. This is I can't believe this, 6th year moderating this legislative reception. It's one of my favorite days of the year. I'm thrilled to be co-emceeing this year with Amir, who is such an incredible young advocate. His drive reminds me of my daughter, Lucy. Lucy is 18. She is funny, she is smart, she is talented, and she is determined. She also has Down syndrome. She inspires me every day, and really, she is the best person I know. She's graduating high school this spring and will be in her final high school musical, Grease, but that will not stop her from singing around the house constantly. Our lives are better because of Lucy, and I want a world that includes and values Lucy and you, which is why I'm so honored to be part of this important day. Lucy has opened a whole new world to me and our families, filled with perseverance, gratitude, and joy, and it's a world that includes all of you. Amir, I'll give it to you.
Thank you, Lauren. I appreciate that. I'm excited to be here with all of you as well. I'm a teacher with the Arc of Massachusetts Operation House Call program, and I know how important advocacy to our legislators is for our community. As Ellen mentioned, our event is currently streaming live on Facebook. If you are on Facebook or Twitter, our event's hashtags are MALegRec2022 and Change Can't Wait MA to spread the word. And also just a reminder for any legislator or agency official who would like to announce yourself, please type your name and title in the Zoom chat box or comment on Facebook Live. And it is now my pleasure to introduce the new chair of the Massachusetts Developmental Disabilities Council, Paulie Sumioni. Paulie is a longtime member of the council and a business leader in technology. In 2002, Paulie's daughter Elizabeth was born with complex medical needs, and Elizabeth quickly taught Hallie how to advocate. Paulie frequently testifies at the State House on many of the council's legislative priorities. When the COVID-19 pandemic hit, Paulie successfully raised awareness about the needs for personal perspective and equipment for children like Elizabeth, who required 24-hour skilled nursing care.
Good morning. My name is Paulie Sumioni, and I'm the chair of the Massachusetts Developmental Disabilities Council. On behalf of the council and the Arc of Massachusetts, I welcome you to the 44th annual legislative reception. We are honored to have you all here today. Thank you to Executive Office of Health and Human Services Secretary Mary Lou Sutters, Senate President Karen Spilka, and Speaker of the House Ron Mariano. Thank you all for participating in our event and hearing our voices. I would also like to congratulate the awardees, Senator Cindy Friedman and Representative Michael Finn. You are champions for the disability community in our State House, and today we honor your work. As many of you know, the Massachusetts Developmental Disabilities Council, also known as the MDDC, is an independent state agency funded by the federal government. We are dedicated to empowering people with developmental disabilities by promoting self-determination and community inclusion. In all the work we do, there is a central theme. People with developmental disabilities have the right to the services and supports they need to live full lives in the community. When people with developmental disabilities get these supports, they thrive in their communities. People with developmental disabilities have the right to experience the joy of being good at something that they choose, and acknowledgement of their success as an individual. They deserve to make their own choices about their lives. People with developmental disabilities thrive when they receive these services and supports that they deserve and to which they are entitled. For some people, that support is job coaching, so they can pursue a dream job. For others, the support is access to guardianship alternatives, so they can make their own choices about their health. And for others, that support is funding to be able to live individually, independently. Supports are not one size fits all, and they should never be something you have to battle to get. Our community works each day to move toward a Massachusetts where every person with a developmental disability has supports and the services that they need to thrive. This is why our reception this year is United by Crisis, Uniting for Change. Our services and supports cannot wait. 4 years ago, I shared my personal story for the first time. I was seated alone at a small table, facing our elected officials, unsure if I would cry or scream or be possibly clumsy speaking into a microphone. I testified for the first time, and it was so empowering to be heard. This mission is personal for me. My daughter, Elizabeth, required 24/7 nursing care to support her complex medical needs. Her life was rich through the service and support she needed. She attended school and thrived living at home, surrounded by love from family, friends, and endless admiration from her sister, Ava. Elizabeth passed away at home on May 5th of 2020 during the pandemic. In Elizabeth's honor, I continue to share her story to fight for all people with developmental disabilities who deserve the same supports and services Elizabeth needed. I am honored to have this opportunity as part of the council. And I invite you all to listen to our voices and to hear from our community why this moment is so urgent. After today, I encourage each of you to reach out to your legislators and share your stories so they can understand what matters to you. You are constituents and you are community members, and your voice matters. Thank you all for being here today.
I'm sure I want to convey applause, and my gosh, thank you, Holly. You are such an inspiration. And now we are so pleased to announce that this year we have two people speaking about the issues, because the more the merrier, Jonathan Gardner and our keynote speaker, Elizabeth Bostick. I am delighted to introduce our first speaker, Jonathan Gardner. He is a young man and self-advocate. Jonathan is passionate about using his own life experiences to support, encourage, and provide a genuine positive impact to everyone around him. He started his advocacy at age 8 when he shared his story to help change regulations to keep other children safe. In his life, Jonathan has been able to use the challenges he faces, including cancer, as a way to help others. All right, Jonathan, take it away.
Thank you. So, hello, my name is Jonathan Gardner. I am 19 years old. I live in East Bridgewater with my mom, dad, and brother Eric. My mom is sitting right next to me right now. I wouldn't have gone through any of the stuff I've been through without her. I like video games, advocating, and wrestling, and anime. My vision is to help any people I can in any way I can. I happen to have autism and am a cancer survivor. In 2021, I transitioned into adulthood, dealt with COVID, and got cancer. Fighting cancer has been one of the hardest journeys of my entire life. I'm so thankful I was given the freedom to choose how I went about my treatments. I did not have many choices when it came to having cancer, but at least I could control when and how I beat it. I was glad that my mom and I had kept up with my Charting for Life goals and had decided before my diagnosis of cancer that supported decision-making was a great alternative for me instead of guardianship. Supported decision-making is when you pick a group of people you trust to help you make decisions instead of having a guardian make decisions for you. It was so important to me to make my own decisions with support when I was dealing with cancer, since there were big decisions. I had already chosen my supporters, and this became so essential to help me make my own decisions while battling cancer. COVID did make supporters decision-making hard because of visitor restrictions and having the hospital realize that my mom and dad were my support people as well as my parents. My experience with the healthcare system motivated me to advocate even while going through chemotherapy and radiation. Advocating gave me hope that bills such as supported decision-making and Operation House Call would be passed and make a difference for others. Testifying for both these bills kept my vision alive and made me feel productive. Supported decision-making is important to me because when it will be passed, it will be available to more people and it would give more people support to make their own decisions throughout all aspects of their lives. Operation House Call is also very important. All healthcare workers need to realize that everyone should be treated with respect and deserve care. So someone with a disability should have their voice listened to. If my voice was listened to the very first time, then I would have been diagnosed with cancer much earlier than I was. There was just too much focus on the fact that I was autistic over a person in pain. I'm so thankful every day that I get to live my life and share my voice. Life is such a gift to me and should be for all of us. My plans for the future are to continue to live each day to the fullest, be positive, and make others happy. Having my voice heard at the State House is so healing to me to know that I can make a positive difference. Today is all about united by crisis and uniting for change. I want to take this moment to thank all the legislators for all you do every day. Our services can't really wait. We need your support more than ever before to pass bills such as supported decision-making and Operation House Call, so no one has to fight in any situation they need the supports for. I would like to take this moment to thank all my doctors for everything you've done for me. I love you all and I consider you all family. I wouldn't have been able to survive my cancer without you. Thank you for this time.
Thank you, Jonathan, for those memorable words and that incredible story. From my family to all of our families, we thank you so much for your hard work and dedication to disability advocacy and empowering the disability community.
Now I'd like to introduce our keynote speaker, Elizabeth Bostick, Assistant Director of the Division for Children and Youth with Special Health Needs for the Department of Public Health. Beth is the proud parent and humble servant of King James, a medically complex young man. She understands the daunting task of securing and coordinating all the complex supports and services. Beth started her own special education advocacy practice more than 15 years ago. She is a trusted and frequently requested facilitator of workshops and stakeholder meetings. Beth is also an executive MBA candidate at Suffolk University and a Len faculty instructor and fellow at the Eunice Kennedy Shriver Center at UMass Medical School.
Thank you, John, Amir, and thank you to the MDDC and the Arc of Massachusetts for the privilege to share our story. If you hold on for just a moment, I'd like to share my screen. Today, I come to you as the proud parent and humble servant of King James. James was born just after the Olmsted ruling through the Supreme Court that said that people with disabilities could not be discriminated against in terms of having appropriate supports in their home. When I had James, I was completely unaware of some of the activities that were going up in the disability world and disability rights, and was immediately faced 10 days after his birth of being a very healthy young man to being a severely disabled one because of severe connectorus. And so while I could spend lots of time talking with you about the long list of diagnoses he had, I thought it would be more important to talk with you about how it impacted him. So James went from being a healthy baby boy to being one that was nonverbal, non-ambulatory, G-tube fed, and hearing impaired. He had little to no volitional movement. And throughout his life, he had multiple surgeries. But most importantly, in terms of how it impacted me, he needed maximum assistance for all activities of daily living. He quite literally could not do anything without the support of other people in his life. Despite all of those challenges, James was a very typical young man who was very fond of the Avengers, of Star Wars, of Beyonce. He was a Patriots fan and a Red Sox fan because after all, we were New Englanders and I did raise him properly. And much to my dismay, he also enjoyed Serena Williams in a catsuit. As a caregiver, I had many, many roles that I had to assume because of James's multiple needs. First and foremost, suddenly I became a medical professional, and the irony that I had thought that I might become a pediatrician at one day actually came up for me immediately. I was suddenly learning how to do G-tube feedings, administer medications, manage all kinds of medical terminology, and use that information to help other people understand James's multiple needs. I learned about medications. I had to be on top of them at all times, really understanding how one medication interfaced with another. We had to make choices about whether or not he was in fact going to benefit from this, if it was going to impact his quality of life, or whether or not it didn't make sense to make those kinds of decisions. We became experts around prior authorizations, navigating insurance companies and policies, and all of the various medical systems that were out there. I became an expert on durable medical equipment, making sure that I knew what kind of equipment he needed, what kind of, when those things needed to be used, if they actually became dysfunctional, how do I get it repaired? How do we make sure that all of those things were happening in conjunction with all of the other things that we were managing? And so essentially what I was doing as a parent was running a mini ICU in my home. And so as you look at this picture of James in his bedroom, you see him in an adapted hospital bed. Those white things in the upper corner there were part of a ceiling lift system because, again, he was 120 pounds. He was not able to walk, and I needed to be able to move him from place to place. If you look up where the smiley face is, you'll see a pump because, of course, he was being fed through a pump system because he did not have the ability to eat food the way that you and I do every day. And what you don't see in the picture is off to the right are things like a nebulizer, a suction machine, and a number of other pieces of medical equipment, All of those things had to be managed in order to make sure that he was living the quality of life that we wanted him to have. And we worked incredibly hard to make sure that James remained healthy, because of course, once he didn't become healthy, hospitalizations increased and his life was at risk. And I became a manager of multiple teams of people, always managing different schedules. We were talking to insurance companies, therapists, doctors, special education team, follow-up appointments, pharmacists. All of these things had to be managed on a day-to-day basis in order to make sure that James could do that. And many people would say things like, this was a burden, but for me, this was a labor of love. James was a real person. He was important to me, and he had so much to bring to the world. And so all of these things needed to be managed so that he could contribute. But that was just the medical piece. There were a few other things along the way as well. I became an expert in special education and really understanding how do we educate him so that he has access to the same things that other people have, the ability to work, the ability to choose the life's aspirations that he wanted to choose, recreation. I became a mechanic. I learned things about how to fix a wheelchair and other pieces of medical equipment that I had no idea I was going to learn how to do. I had to make decisions around transportation. When he was much younger, I could throw him over my shoulder or carry him. But as time went on, him and his 120-pound self, along with his 200-pound power chair, I could not carry or move easily. So I had to find ways to adapt my vehicle. And all of this while managing his team of PCAs, nurses, therapists, recreational activities, and making sure that James had the kind of life that all of us enjoy. Really looking at him holistically, understanding that he was a person, an individual, somebody who had spiritual, psychological, emotional needs, in addition to the medical, educational, and all of the other things that we all consider for people. He was a person, he was in the context of our family, and we wanted to make sure that he knew he was important, which is why I referred to him as King James, because I wanted him to know that he had worth. And then this happened. As we all know, we went through tons of change as a result of COVID, and all of the supports and services that we had very carefully put in place suddenly disappeared because we were no longer able to bring people into our home. He could no longer go to school. And so in addition to all of those many roles that I mentioned before, I became the team of one. And I had to, and then added special education teacher to my list of responsibilities. I happened to be a person who was self-employed and working from home. And I had to start making choices around whether or not I could work to pay the bills and whether or not I could support James, because he had come to an important place in his life where he was finally able to communicate and he was getting an education. And literacy and education was vitally important to ensure that he was going to be able to live the quality of life that he needed going forward. And so this is a picture of him in what I call Command Central, with the 3 devices that were necessary to make his education possible. One with his teacher, one with his sign language interpreter, and one with his actual communication device. One of the things that people often don't understand is as we are endeavoring in this labor of love to take care of our loved ones at home, there is literally no time off. James was the first thing I thought of when I got up in the morning and the last thing I thought of before I went to bed. And as I was running this mini ICU in my home, every decision, everything that I did throughout the day was contingent upon whether or not he had what he needed and that he was healthy and happy. And so my mental health and those of many others was being impacted on a daily basis. And as I talked to some of my friends, there were others who were facing similar challenges for somewhat different reasons. There were those of my friends who had children on the autism spectrum who may not have had the structure and the routine and the supports they needed to ensure that that child could actually live the kind of life and be supported the way that they needed to be. I had friends who didn't have the nursing supports that they needed for children who had trachs and vents. And they had to be incredibly careful about who they let in their home because of the risk that was associated with the possible respiratory issues for a condition that we still did not fully understand. And all of those people were suddenly giving 24/7 care round the clock to ensure the safety of their children. And if they happen to be caregivers of other children, then also balancing the needs of other people in their home. All 24/7. So I want to remind people that James was a person. He was first and foremost a human being, a real person. And like all people, he had the right to live, to love, to work, to play, and to pursue his own life aspirations. All of us must rise together to ensure that all people, regardless of their disability or their current medical condition, have access to education, employment, their own aspirations, their homes, transportation, all of the basic needs that all of us take for granted. And we must make sure that they have those now, because they're here now and they're important now. Caregivers have long since been the unsung heroes, providing that labor of love and ensuring that they have everything they need. And it's high time that we continue the proud legacy that we have here in Massachusetts of really doing the work to make sure that the appropriate supports and services are in place for these children, these adults, and their families. Our services and supports can't wait. Thank you for listening this morning.
Thank you, Ms. Bostick, for those powerful words. We really do appreciate all the work you do for children and adults with disabilities. As we have shared, today's theme is United by Crisis, Uniting for Change. Our services and supports can't wait. Our community continues to face enormous challenges due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and we are grateful for the leadership of this legislator and administrating during this difficult time to respond to many of our needs. We also want to look ahead to how we can move forward together to best serve all members of our community equally.
For instance, the ARC has an action alert to the legislature to increase the proposed fiscal year 23 budget line items to provide lifeline supports for families and individuals, stabilize the service delivery system, and enable providers to attract and retain direct support workers in a highly competitive environment. In addition, the ARC is asking for language changes in the proposed budget to address the need for funding to be flexible and transferable within and between programs to best serve individuals and families. If you haven't already, after this event, we encourage you to reach out to your legislators and to share your stories with them. Maura Sullivan, the ARC Senior Director of Governmental Affairs and Health Policy, will review the critical budget and legislative priorities.
And if you can reach out to your legislator or would like to promote the ARC's action alerts, share it on social media and tag the ARC so we can share it as well. The MDDC's legislative priorities are available on its website. The more people that know about the great work your legislators do, the better.
Absolutely. And now it is time to recognize the MDDC Legislator of the Year, Senator Cindy Friedman. We're excited to have Senate President Karen Spilka with us to be part of the presentation. She is a great friend of the ARC and the MDDC. Prior to her election as president, Senator Spilka served as the chair of Senate Ways and Means. She was named the first Senate chair of the Joint Committee on Children and Families and Persons with Disabilities when she entered the Senate in 2005. After serving 4 years in the House of Representatives. Senator Spilka has been a consistent leader on disability issues and received the Legislator of the Year award twice in 2007 and 2013. Take it away.
Thank you so much. Thank you for giving me a few moments to speak here today. Thank you all for being here today as well. The issues facing individuals with disabilities, including those who have been highlighted today, are very, very real, and they simply cannot be overstated. I want to thank Lauren and Holly and Jonathan and Elizabeth for sharing James's story, and for all of you for sharing your stories. It's so important for us to hear about them and what your experiences are. We can and we must all work towards a healthier, kinder, and more diverse and inclusive future where everybody can live their lives to their fullest. Although Massachusetts has made great strides to improve the quality of life for people with varying abilities, each change has happened only when someone went out of their way to make it happen. And I know how important these changes are to make happen. Like Lauren, who shared her story about Lucy, you know, I was lucky to have a sister with Down syndrome who also opened up all the new worlds for me and new passions, and continues to ground me with my work in the Senate and the legislature. One of the true champions, true leaders that make this happen is my colleague and good friend, Senator Cindy Friedman. Senator Friedman has worked tirelessly to rally stakeholders around the issues that directly impact people with disabilities. This session alone, she championed the charge to create and push for comprehensive legislation to expand access to mental health services and to finally achieve mental health parity. She worked and championed bills to lower the cost of prescription drugs for all of us and to fairly compensate human service workers, including those who care for individuals with disabilities or life challenges. In each one of these areas, Senator Friedman has not only listened to your voices, but has amplified your voices and applied her deep expertise in healthcare policy. Not only applying her expertise, she's also applied her sincere and intense passion on these issues and compassion, and her smarts to help people so their lives are richer, healthier, and more independent. I simply cannot think of anyone more deserving of an award for their work on behalf of folks with disabilities than Senator Friedman. I appreciate and congratulate my friend and colleague, Senator Cindy Friedman, for so deserving this award. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Madam President. I am clearly overwhelmed by all of this. I'm overwhelmed by your amazingly kind words. You are a champion to every single person on this, in this event. You have been a leader in this area. You have led us all. You have not let us forget how important people who need our help are. And I just can't tell you enough how much I appreciate your leadership and your kindness and compassion in this area. I also want to thank Elizabeth for her story. I have a little speech to give, but I'm not sure that I can ever come close to what how she has expressed and explained what it means to family members to have their loved ones not only open their lives and make it richer, but also to take care of them in such difficult circumstances. So thank you, Elizabeth, for sharing that story. I also want to thank the MDDC and the Arc for hosting this legislative reception. And while I would have really loved to be in person with you all today, I'm continually reminded that virtual events like these can unlock access and connections that previously didn't exist. So there is a little tiny upside to all of it. As we continue to adapt to the changes brought on by COVID-19, it's imperative that all of us, not just the community represented here today, realize the unique challenges that our disability communities continue to face. COVID-19 has substantially disrupted our healthcare system and shed new light on the gaps in our social safety net, posing more challenges to providing care and services to the most vulnerable, including our disability community. I'm sure that the past 2 years for many of you have been filled with fear and questions about the safety of hospitals or in-home care, or about how to obtain or sustain the necessary and sometimes specialized services required by someone with complex care needs. The families in this room know far too well how difficult it is to navigate the complexities of a disability, whether it's needed services, higher costs, or increase or constant care. And I think Elizabeth just laid it out perfectly for us. These difficulties can spread families thin and have only been exacerbated by this global pandemic. Fortunately, the MDDC and the Arc bring their extraordinary and powerful advocacy on behalf of individuals with disabilities and their families. And one of my goals as the state senator has been to work with organizations like these to do all that I can at the state level to help implement positive policy changes on your behalf. Policies that support continuous skilled nursing and in-home specialized care services, and policies that ensure human service workers are paid a fair wage, two topics that I filed legislation on and will continue to fight for. Advancing this important work has been a big part of my tenure in the Senate, and that's why I'm really honored and humbled to have been named the Legislator of the Year by the MDDC. This award is particularly special to me because of the relationships I've formed with MDDC advocates and their families, and because of the heart and compassion that is constantly on display by this organization. The MDDC presented me with a beautiful piece of handmade artwork. I think I put it on my social media page, and it is already hanging prominently in my State House office. The artwork is personally made, carefully crafted, and aptly represents the beautiful strength and talents of that this community has to offer. This award, believe me, beats any plaque any day. So I look forward to continuing to support, partner, and advocate for our shared priorities on Beacon Hill. Thank you again for the recognition, and congratulations to my colleague in the House, Rep. Michael Finn, for his recognition as the ARC's Legislator of the Year. I am so humbly grateful.
Holly, would you like to say a couple of words?
Sure, thank you very much. Thank you, Senate President Spilka, for capturing so well why the Massachusetts Developmental Disabilities Council is honoring Senator Friedman today. Senator Friedman, thank you for leading with heart and fighting every day for our community on such pressing issues, especially in the pandemic. And I'd like to thank you. You were one of the people I sat in front of the first time I testified. And that's something I will never forget. It brings us hope knowing that you are in our corner for the supports and services people with developmental disabilities need. For all the reasons President Spilka just described, we honor you today as the Massachusetts Developmental Disabilities Council Legislator of the Year. I think Anna's going to show us.
Thank you, Holly. And that is the beautiful piece of artwork that I was given. And I am very near tears. So thank you all.
You're very
Thank
welcome.
you. Congratulations again. Senator Friedman. Now it's time to award our next Legislator of the Year, Representative Michael Finn. We are pleased to have the Speaker of the House, Ronald Mariano, with us this year. Representative Mariano received the Arc Legislator of the Year award in 2016 in recognition of his support of the disability community. After many years in leadership roles in the House of Representatives, he was elected by his peers as Speaker of the House in January of 2021. Speaker Mariano will introduce Representative Finn after Speaker Mariano speaks. Leo Sarkissian from the ARC will say a few words regarding Representative Finn. Now let's hear from Speaker Mariano. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. It's great to be part of the ARC and the Massachusetts Developmental Disabilities Council's legislative reception. I want to thank the ARC's Executive Director, Mr. Leo Sarkissian, the Massachusetts Developmental Disabilities Council's Executive Director, Dan Shannon, as well as all the advocates and the incredible families and staff for inviting me to speak with you all, and for all the incredible advocacy work that you do. As you all know, March is Developmental and Intellectual Disabilities Awareness Month. And as we begin to emerge from the pandemic, I think it's important to mention the outsized impact that COVID-19 has had on persons with disabilities. I know the House is committed to continuing to work with the ARC of Massachusetts and the Massachusetts Developmental Disabilities Council to ensure that everyone is supported in our pandemic recovery efforts. Because of the work of the ARC and the Massachusetts Developmental Disabilities Council, we have been able to pass legislation like Nikki's Law, which created a registry that lists the names of anyone state investigators believe have committed acts of substantiated abuse on anyone with a disability. This is just one of the many examples of why the partnership between the ARC and the House is so important. So it's with a great deal of pride that today I present my colleague and my friend, Chair Michael Finn, with the ARC's Legislator of the Year Award. Rep. Finn has now served in the House for over a decade. During that time, I've watched him work incredibly hard on behalf of his district and the Commonwealth as a whole. This should come as no surprise, as Rep. Finn has been a career public servant. As chairman of the Joint Committee on Children, Families, and Persons with Disabilities, Representative Finn has been a strong and consistent advocate for the most vulnerable residents of Massachusetts. He has worked with the ARC and the Massachusetts Developmental Disabilities Council to learn more about the needs and concerns of people with disabilities and their families. Chair Finn has also been a strong, consistent advocate to provide increased funding for programs and supports for the disability community. He helped secure $2.29 billion in Department of Developmental Services funding included in the fiscal year 2022 budget. And that's an increase of $158 million from fiscal year 21. Additionally, the legislature included $5 million for the Disabled Persons Protection Commission in our American Rescue Plan bill. Recognizes the strain that's been placed on individuals with disabilities during the pandemic, including family, caregivers, and support staff. Under Chair Finn's guidance, an act relative to immediate COVID-19 recovery needs also includes $300 million to expand Medicaid home and community-based services. It also provides essential support to the workforce, serving our constituents with intellectual and developmental disabilities. In addition to $10 million for compensatory education services for individuals with IEPs who turned 22 during the pandemic. It's this kind of leadership that I expected from Rep. Finn when I appointed him chair of the Joint Committee on Children, Families, and Persons with Disabilities. It was undoubtedly the right decision. I want to thank you again for inviting me to present this award to Chairman Finn and for the critical work your organizations do. Massachusetts is better because of your efforts. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Speaker Mariano, for those empowering words and for the leadership you've shown regarding our community. We want to say some words also about Chair Finn and his contributions. And it's always encouraging when a past awardee, like the Speaker, assumes one of 3 top leadership positions in state government. Chair Finn, our board, our staff, our constituents are so pleased to present the ARC's Legislator of the Year Award to you in recognition of your contributions to the disability community. As chair of Children, Families, and Persons with Disabilities, we've appreciated the enthusiastic work that you and your staff have done with us, MDDC, other groups, and constituents across our broad community. You made an effort as you became chair to reach out through your staff, and we met. And I remember those days, and I remember how you and Senator Gomez have run those hearings with respect, with a desire to hear. And it was just so empowering for us and our constituents. You clearly understood the impact of COVID-19 on our community, and it led to increased funding. And not only as American Rescue Plan Act passed, but even before. You also have worked closely with our team in government affairs on our top priority bills, and we appreciate what has been passed out of the committee, which has been several of them, And so, in addition, we're just pleased to present this artwork by Michael Butler of Danvers, a resident of Danvers, who is an incredible artist with a developmental disability, and he's at Northeast Arc's ArcWorks. And we look forward, and I look forward, and our team does, to continuing to work with you. Thank you again. Really appreciate you.
I just unmuted myself. I think I presume this is the time that I'm supposed to do that. Thank you for those kind words, Leo. And to everybody, good morning. I can only tell you how humbled I am for having been chosen to receive this award. I do have a couple of different people I'd like to thank. I feel like almost this is my my Golden Globe moment, if you will. Because I literally am so humbled and grateful for having been given this honor. I'm just going to slide off the screen if you don't mind. So I as my background, I included the photo, and I wanted to give a special recognition to Michael Butler from Danvers, Mass, who is a part of he's a part of the Artworks program, which is a part of the Northeast Arc, and I can't thank him enough. And I, as well as Senator Cindy Cream, have my artwork prominently displayed in my office, and I am very, very happy to have received it. I'd also like to take, I really do feel like this is, like my Golden Globe moment. And I also want to thank Ellen Taverna and Maura Sullivan and Leo for all of the advocacy that you do for this community, and for all of the positive impact that you have had across this great Commonwealth, and making sure that people with disabilities have the resources that they need, and we're amending laws that need amending, and we're making positive changes. I'd also like to take a second to just thank Speaker Mariano. I guess at this moment, I guess I'm going to refer to him as the legislature's Coach K, right? Speaker Mariano has a way of leading in that he gives great latitude to his chairs, and he tasked me with jumping into the deep end of the pool and learning the subject matter, and I can't thank him enough for giving me the opportunity. And it has been probably the biggest reward of my entire life to have spent the last year and a half jumping into the critical issues that face the people that we're trying to serve the most. But then I also want to take a minute to I want to thank my team. My team consists of my chief of staff, Mike LaFlamme, my legal counsel, Lisa Rosenfeld, my research director, Kate Littman, my researcher, Shayna Solomon, and my district aide, Peter DiStefano. Because as we all know, none of us succeeds alone. And many of the hours that I spend learning about these issues is based on the research and the advice that I get from all of the people that I've surrounded myself with. And I can't thank them enough for having done all that they've done to be as helpful as we possibly can as we move forward through the pandemic and to, whatever other challenges we're going to be facing. I did want to take us, just a quick minute to talk, about the legislation. I was very proud to work with Senator Gomez, the co-chair that we have in the Committee for Persons with Disabilities. And I just want to say that, as far as Senate 137, an act to protect individuals with disabilities in Mass Health Day rehabilitation programs known as Nikki's Law, we voted favorably to have that bill move forward. An act to enhance hospital care for those with autism, another favorable recommendation. An act relative to queuing and supervision in the PCA programs, very supportive of those measures and others. And I also wanted to say, we're still working on some important legislation that we chose to keep in the committee so that we could try to perfect it a little bit so that we would encounter less obstacles as we move forward in the process. And one of those bills that I know is high on the ARC's list is the Archaic language bill. And we're in the middle of going through that line by line to make sure that we understand what is being asked of us and also what the impacts of those asks are. And I feel very confident that the committee will, well, hopefully, I don't want to speak for Senator Gomez, but we hopefully get to a point where I think that we can exec that out favorably as well and hopefully see some movement on that. So those are part of the bills that we've been working on. I also wanted to take a moment, really to mention how impactful Jonathan Gardner was when he spoke earlier today. I think Jonathan's words and his advocacy are so important. And I also wanted to take a minute to congratulate Elizabeth Bostick for her words about the impacts that she deals with on a daily basis when trying to provide the most for her family. And it is not lost on me the reasons why we run for office, the reasons why, when we stand up on either on a campaign or once we're elected and we say that we want to help people, it's being involved with communities such as the ARC and advocacy agencies such as the ARC that it brings it home and it makes it real. And, I just wanted to say, I'm so thankful for them taking the time to share their stories so that everybody can hear, the importance of the subject matter that we're dealing with on a daily basis. And so I don't want to take too much other time. I also wanted to just take 1 second to say how important this gathering is. And I wish it were in person. Hopefully we'll be there soon. But you needn't look past the list of attendees at today's meeting to see that the highest echelons of state government are attending and listening and learning. And I mean that when I talk about Speaker Mariano. I know that Senate President Spilka is on here. I believe that I also saw Secretary Mary Lou Sutters and other executive branch leaders. And so, for everybody that's here, that's not an elected official, that's not serving in government in some way, I want you to hear clearly that we hear you and we're all working, to try to make improvements, and we won't stop. And we're going to continue doing our best to improve the lives of the people that we've been entrusted to try to do that for. So I just want to say thank you very much. And I look forward to the rest of the session and all of the things that we can accomplish together. So thank you.
Thank you, Representative Finn and Senator Friedman, for all the work you have done for the disability community. Congratulations again, really wonderful work. And now Mara Sullivan will join us and share the virtual call to action. Mara is the ARC's Senior Director of Government Affairs and Health Policy. She leads the ARC's advocacy efforts with the Legislature. Mara has a special passion for advocating for equity and access to healthcare, as well as family supports for people with disabilities. She is a proud mother of 3, including 2 teenagers on the autism spectrum. Also, thank you for inviting me to join today. Lauren and I are honored to be a member of this remarkable community, and I hope you have a productive day with your legislators.
Thank you for that great introduction, Amir. I am so proud of you today, and it's been such a pleasure to work with you through Operation House Call. And thank you for the impact that you are making on equality and on racism. We need your strong voice. I'm really inspired and grateful to all the speakers today. And now I get the privilege to deliver the call to action. I hope you guys will stick around. I know we're going a little bit over, but we have another wonderful special speaker coming after me. So please stick around. Our call to action this year is about unity, and it's about hope. And although we are down and we're hit pretty hard, there is opportunity. We can see it. And where there is opportunity, we find hope. So if you're here today, I know that you haven't lost faith. You're joining a community that is truly united by our goals to bring relief to the workforce, to get people back to full programs and employment, and to support individuals and families to rebound and grow stronger than ever. So bear with me, I'm going to share my screen. I really want y'all to understand our priorities today. Let's start. Okay, so it's been 24 months since we gathered in the Great Hall of Flags, almost 500 of us. In my call to action that day, I focused on the workforce crisis. I asked direct support professionals in the audience to stand so we could give them a round of applause. Little did we know that they would become our heroes of the pandemic, and that the workforce shortage crisis would deepen to unprecedented levels. Little did we know that 2 years later, more than 5,000 adults would be without services, and families and youth would also be suffering. So let's talk about workforce salaries. The direct support professionals are our essential workforce. $350 million for Chapter 257, that's the rate reserve account for human service professionals. And that number may look pretty big to everyone, and it is, but that number is what it takes to bring DSPs to just $20 an hour. And this is, as everyone knows, a minimally competitive rate. So please reach out to your reps and senators, ask them to permanently increase salaries to address this crisis. And they can do that by substantially funding Chapter 257. We must also extend ARPA for DAHABs. These are some of the lowest paid programs that serve our most complex individuals. We need permanent increases for AFC. Sustaining our safety net services will only happen if we can staff them. So now let's get to those familiar line items that we talk about every year. By the way, the State House is open. I don't think we mentioned that yet. So we have the options of meeting with our reps and senators virtually still, or going in person. So best of both worlds here. And I'm not going to go through each line item because we're already running over. But I will say that you will see the links in the chat for our full budget ask and messaging. And we are grateful to the governor for the increases in family support and for fully funding Turning 22. But we really need these additional increases. And you'll see 51 million under day and employment. This will help us right size the sinking ship right now. So it is a complex ask. A dense budget ask with line items, with workforce, And because of the uncertain nature with COVID-19 and the workforce crisis, we need flexibilities in the funding and transferability between line items. This way we can direct money back to individuals and families. And lastly, we wish to see parents and guardians allowed to be paid caregivers. And I get a yes, finally on that. Okay, let's talk about legislation. Now is the time. We just have a few months to make some important law happen. So I say, grab your friends, pick your passion, and engage your legislators. I'm going to touch on a few bills here, but again, you will see in the chat a link to all of our bills and all of the MDDC's policy priorities as well. You will also be getting emails if you registered for this event with all of that information. So I'm going to hurry along here. But I do want to say we must strengthen and expand Nikki's Law, Dana's Law, as you heard from the speaker, and shout out to the DPPC for making this abuser registry a reality and being so good at it that they're already ready to grow. So support the expanded abuse registry to include DAHABs. And the same with our police training. We got it through last year for cadets. And let's expand it to veteran police officers and corrections officers. And there's Amir when he was a little bit younger. And you heard from Jonathan on this too. We need to train our healthcare professionals, and COVID has underlined this. We must tighten up safety in our group homes. And we have a bill that will connect our disability history to disability rights and future progress. All of these bills will do all of that. So let's keep going. We need to have access, greater access to services, housing options, and these bills will do that. So ABA for adults on mass health, PCA, you heard Chair Finn speak about that. Expanding eligibility for people with developmental disabilities, and accessory dwelling units or in-law apartments for people with disabilities. And oh, I wonder whose cute kids those are on the screen. All right, and just lastly, you heard so eloquently from Jonathan Gardner that we need alternatives to guardianship. So please get behind supported decision-making. So my time has actually run out, and I want to leave you with some last words for our legislators here today and to bring back to those who are not. We know that our message hits your heart, and it should. People are suffering and some are in crisis. Not all of them are able to ask for help or make time for one more call. But today we are speaking for them, and we are speaking with one voice. So thank you for being here and listening. And thank you to the hundreds of advocates here today. I wish you all peace and good health. And now I'm going to turn it over to the Executive Director of the Arc of Massachusetts so he can introduce our very special guest. Leo?
Yeah, thank you, Maura, and wow, thank you for that resounding call to action. I am so pleased to introduce Mary Lou Sutters, who before her appointment and throughout the nearly 8 years of service, she has been consistently accessible, as has been her team, and aware of the needs of the disability community. And she has a big portfolio, 17 or so agencies. So, you know, we come from a certain perspective. She's got to think about a little bit broader perspective, I guess. But she has always been responsive, even if it's not exactly, you know, what we want, because she's got to balance it with the demands and the reality of the budget. But during her tenure, I'm just going to give you a few samples, okay, a few tidbits. There's so much more that I can't touch on due to time, but tripling turning 22's first year allocation to meet what the demand was for the 1,300 people, including the autism adults that were, you know, incorporated, right, with the 2014 law, the largest family support increase by a governor in decades. So those are just two examples of funding initiatives. And then supporting passage and implementation of the abuse registry, which was key. And I can tell you, we won't get into behind the scenes, but the work she did, and also advancing supportive technology are two great examples. policy. So with that, I want to thank her for being here with us. I want to thank her for hanging in there throughout, 2 full terms, which is, again, I'll close with that. I think unprecedented, clearly unprecedented in my time. And I've been here a few years. So welcome, Secretary. So great to have you with us.
Thank you, Leo. Thank you to my friends at the Arc. Thank you to my friends at the Massachusetts Developmental Disability Council. I will be brief. I have a couple things I do want to say. And I really want to give a shout out to the individuals with different abilities and to their families who are here today. And of course, to my legislative colleagues. I want to echo something that Maura said. And I'm going to be brief because we are running late, and I'm grateful that you've given me a couple moments. One is unity, hope, and opportunity. The past 2 years have been extraordinary, devastating for so many. The pandemic is really a twindemic of COVID plus social isolation, and you heard it eloquently from some of the speakers. It also has had a devastating impact on our partners, our providers, and on families who already bear so much and had to bear so much more. But from that pandemic are the words of unity, hope, and opportunity. And we are a community together. And I agree with Rep. Finn and others looking forward to be physically present with one another again. First and foremost, I want to give a shout out to Representative Finn and Senator Friedman, and to the Speaker and to the Senate President. And there's a number of legislators who are with you today. They, like me, these 4 individuals and many legislators who are with you today, take deep to their heart your experiences and take those experiences into their legislative deliberations, as I have tried to do for almost 8 years as secretary. And while, yes, I think Leo did add a few additional agencies to my portfolio, but as a social worker, as a family member with a family with very serious mental illness, I've never forgotten that behind all those numbers that I can rattle on are the hopes and dreams of individuals and families, which I know Representative Finn and Senator Friedman and the Speaker and the Senate President take to heart each and every day. First and foremost, I'm grateful to you, all of you, for your voice, your courage, and your reminder that we must do more to support individuals with different abilities to fulfill their life's dreams and to support their families. I was many years ago, I was a PCA. As I was coming out of graduate school to work with an individual with some significant challenges and to support his mother. So I know the power of the work, and I know when those supports aren't available, how debilitating it can be for their loved ones. So I do have hope because this is a strong community, working with both your colleagues in the executive branch and our colleagues in the State House with your voices at the table. So with that, I'm not going to go through the rest of my remarks, and you're not done with me yet. I have about 9 or 10 more months for us to engage in our hard work together to ensure pathways and good lives are available. So on behalf of the governor, it is now my honor to declare March is Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month. I want to let everyone know that there's something special about this year's proclamation that I believe Anna or someone's going to show you on the screen. For the first time probably in ever, This year's proclamation is written in plain language, which is more reasonable and understandable for, at least for me, and I'm sure for all of us. So another of the many ways the Commonwealth will remain a leader and will continue to lead the way in making information more accessible to everyone. So from my heart to yours, I stand with you. I stand with my colleagues in the legislature as we continue to make progress. So thank you, and I will turn it back to you all.
Thank you, Senator Sutters, for
Oh.
joining us today and for your leadership, along with Governor Baker. We are grateful for all you have done for our community. We are so happy that the Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month proclamation is in plain language. Ensuring it is accessible to our community, it makes such a difference to us all, and it reflects our shared values of inclusion. As we close today, I'd like to share a special thank you to Lauren Beckman Falcone and to Amir Harper. You both did a wonderful job today as our co-MCs. Thank you to everyone for joining us this year. I would like to thank our co-sponsors and all of you for being here with us. Your voice is essential today and throughout the next few months as the State House considers the issues that are very important to the success of our community. As we leave today, I will ask each of you to complete a survey. It will only take a moment, and it will go over the materials that were discussed today. Links to the survey are in English and Spanish. They're in the Zoom chat. Again, thank you all for being here today to support the disability community as we unite to move us all forward together.